music in this video is the Knightsbridge Strings. Go pop. Okay y'all, I'm excited for another week. Last week was not very good, but it was very insightful because I learned things, and I think this is going to be a lot more focused and a lot more community oriented, and I'm just excited to see what new genre I get. Again, I'm on Album of the Year, which is a music forum website which is very good, and you can look up basically any artist, but not every single artist is on. If there's an artist that you like that isn't on here, you can always add them. You can add an artist if they're not on there, because not every artist is on there. If you like an artist, you can add and review. On random.org, and I will be generating a number 1 through 296. Let's get going. Is it 96? Guess another number.
27.
27 is the number, guys. The number is 228. I'm gonna get big numbers every time. Every time. Counting left to right, like usual. I think I got it, number 200. And, oh, I totally counted wrong. I thought I was doing 233, but I'm doing 228. Okay, official, 228, Electro Disco, which I know about electronic and I know about disco, but I don't know what Electro Disco is, so let's figure this out. Okay, I just recounted like 20 times and I'm pretty sure I got it wrong, but I'm sticking with Electro Disco. Okay, so Maisie Ann Burton, who is a beautiful woman and who has music on Spotify, and y'all should listen to it. She just agreed to work on this song with me, and I just went on a walk, and now I have all these wonderful ideas, and I'm so ridiculously excited to work with her, because like it has a whole other spectrum, and I just hope I don't hinder her creativity. This is gonna be fun. I hope yay, okay. So with the cringe song, I was pretty emotionally disconnected to it, though it was fun to make. As I've been kind of putting this together in my head and making some of this, I'm realizing that emotionally I've kind of been devoid of most things that disco tracks are made of, you know, the energy, the dance, the love, the boogie, except when I've been listening to these songs. So I hope that Maisie and I can make a much needed, fun, loving, hopeful, dancing song. Okay, so once I saw what genre I was gonna do, I immediately went to Rate Your Music and looked up Electro Disco to see what it was. And on there it said, Electro Disco was an influential disco subgenre in which disco instrumentation is largely, if not entirely, replaced by synthesizers and augmented futuristic elements, such as the vocoder. It then went on to list Kraftwerk as an influential and important band in the genre. They're the best electronic band of all time, and if you want to prove me wrong, please do, because if anyone's better than that would be amazing. When you hear that, you might also think of Daft Punk, because they're pretty similar to Kraftwerk, and they have the vocoder thing going on. They have disco beats, and it's very, instrumental based and very electronic based. But another very important artist I wasn't familiar with, but a lot of Daft Punk fans would be, is Giorgio Moroder. Daft Punk has a song in Random Access Memories called Giorgio by Moroder. Giorgio? How do you say his name? So for the first time, I listened to whole Daft Punk records, and I've known, like, you know, the classic songs everyone knows, but they flow extremely well, especially for records of an hour length. Homework is amazing, but Random Access Memories has a little special. It's a little special to me. I guess it's a little bit more poppy, but also has Panda Bear in it, which I'd forgotten. And I love Panda Bear. I love him. Love for him. So Giorgio, however you say his name, has a record from Here to Eternity, which is very popular among people who like electro disco, and it was one of the first to kind of have a really electronic flair to that disco vibe, and it's very good. To understand a little bit more of why disco went electric, I studied a little bit of the history of disco, and it's really interesting, and I didn't realize how much the dance music of the 70s was influential for modern EDM.
One of the resources I pulled from was a video called
For modern EDM. One of the resources I pulled from was a video called The History of Disco by VO5 is the YouTube channel name, and it's very cool. If you're interested, go check it out. It goes over the history of early disco a lot and where disco came from, which I think is really important to figure out why disco kind of died, because there's no disco music nowadays, at least no music that has the tag. There is a lot of music that is very disco related, and electro disco is a big part of that, but I'll kind of talk about that. I wanted to listen to some more classic, you know, disco. I get a grasp of what electro disco is supposed to be. One track I listen to is Love to Love You Baby by Donna Summer, which is awesome. Hottest song of all time, probably. Maybe. Besides this song, this is kind of nice. You can look up more or go into that video to figure out more about disco, because it's a really interesting thing how it evolved. But the reason why disco turned into electro disco, one of the reasons is disco got a lot of flack. It got parodied really quickly by a whole lot of people. I kind of see it as how trap music, you know, it kind of has like a thing about it, like, oh, I'm a rap artist, oh yeah, I make trap music. It's like, oh yeah, trap music, and a lot of people kind of parody it, kind of make fun of it, and that happened pretty quickly. Part of that was a lot of disco music was very streamlined. It was very pop-based and, you know, kind of uninventive and plastic, especially compared to the soul roots it has. Some people called it soulless soul. Musical problems aside, a disco, once it started getting more popular, there was a lot more backlash because of how it was influenced by the gay culture in America and across the world. I mean, so all this led up to one specific day where a DJ in 1979 had the bright idea that to bring people to come to a White Sox game, he would say, if you bring a disco, you know, vinyl, a disco record to burn, then you get in free or cheap, I can't remember what it was. And it drew 70,000 people, and over 10,000 records were destroyed there. Some people mark this as the end of disco. So in the 80s, you can see music like synth pop and like electro disco that were very, very disco based, but they were being called different things, probably just because of the bad name that disco gave you after that. One group that wasn't technically electro disco, I say, but was very influential synth pop and started in the early 80s that I listened to was Soft Cell. Most people know their song Tainted Love, but in their first album, Nonstop Erotic Dancing, that's probably my least favorite song, which is saying something. That album is incredible. Sex Dwarf is one of my favorite songs. And Entertain Me, if that's what it's called, that it has some of the most caustic and exciting, you know, background vocals. It starts off like this almost Broadway-esque, you know, song, like kind of a monologue kind of thing. It's beautiful. I love it. Due to many a circumstance, this is taking a lot longer than a week again, but I'm serving the song in the way that it's coming to me and coming to Maisie and everything. Maisie might not be as involved as I want her to be, but things are working, things are going good. A few more albums that I really was inspired by and I really enjoyed listening to for the first time were Number One in Heaven by Sparks, which was a band that I knew of and only listened to one of their records like 3 years ago, and I totally forgot about, even though I really liked it, and then I re-listened and I loved it. Number One in Heaven is a really cool, really wacky, kind of a play on what disco was. Very cool record. The Talking Heads were a group I think I could put in this because New Wave kind of crossed over with a whole lot of electronic ideas in the 70s. Specifically, they're a really good album with Once in a Lifetime in it. Specifically that album, which is in the 80s, but yeah. Tired Boy. When looking up electro disco, I always came across Hercules and Love Affair, which is a really awesome band name, Hercules and Love Affair. And their self-titled album was pretty good. There were some duds in it, but Iris is a beautiful song, and I love his voice, and it's sad he doesn't sing on every song in the album, but I'll definitely dive into some of their other discography, because it's really beautiful.
Are you done making the song, please?
I'm very much done with the song. I think I'm just kind of taking what I have, final touches, and being done. But I haven't been writing very well, and these songs haven't been extremely good, and I wonder why, and it's extremely fun to figure out what I'm doing wrong, why I'm not getting the energy I usually get from music. But when I first started this challenge, the initial plan was 4 weeks, 4 songs, and I wanted to learn more about different genres. I wanted to learn how to write in those different genres and to make songs in those different genres and just expand my palette a little bit more, and I think I've done that. I knew they weren't going to be very good songs, but I was going to make them. It's going to be memories. That's what I like most about music, memories. But it's still good, and I love each and one of you. Mwah.